Oh, no, this is definitely not a law to do that. What we've got is a clear example of the failure of democracy, where governments are expected to govern fairly for all citizens. And an absolute majority does not mean winner takes all. And this is what we're currently seeing in the debate that occurred last night. And also, as you said, Sue, we have had eminent people stand with us in solidarity, as well as ordinary Australians, saying this should not be allowed to happen in our nation. And what we see is that this has been fast-tracked through a failed process.
Now, you and other traditional owners complained to the United Nations, and in fact the UN has asked Australia for answers over concerns that the law racially discriminates against Aboriginal people.
This is correct. It does racially discriminate against us. It treats us as in an unfair and an unjust way based on race. So, yes, we have got this advocacy coming through the United Nations. It seems to have fallen on deaf ears with our government, but these controversial new laws are inadequate. They have been rushed through. They are not fit for purpose, and they will continue with the destruction of sacred sites and our lands and waters across this nation and across the state.
Now, your main concern is that the WA Aboriginal Affairs Minister has the final say. There's no appeal by Aboriginal groups, but developers, such as miners, can appeal the minister's decision.
Yeah, look, this just shows you the inequity in terms of what we're talking about with these laws being not fit for purpose. Here we have the Minister for Indigenous Affairs and the mining companies who are once again at the offering of the state government in partnership with the state government. And we've also had very senior people, such as the previous CEO from Rio, saying this is not fit for purpose. What some of the big industry players have been asking for is the opportunity for us to have certainty in terms of what we've just given the minister. So it definitely is a failure of the power of veto coming from the minister. It almost is an opportunity to say that we have no faith in the minister, we have no faith in this process, and we definitely have no faith in this law that has just been passed.
Now, there are regulations that are going to be formulated over the next year or two under this legislation. So the WA Aboriginal Affairs Minister is saying that people and groups that oppose the law can be involved in the design of the process. What's your reaction to that?
Look, if this was a spirit of goodwill and a commitment from the government, we should have been involved from the very beginning in terms of co-designing the regulations for this. The Juukan inquiry has actually come out with a model of best practice, which is the Northern Territory model. We should have been designing the bill to fit within the construct of that body of information that came from the National Inquiry. This is not the right way to go. This is definitely a grave injustice, and coming as, in terms of developing the regulation is almost like the cart's already bolted and jump on and let's see how we go for the ride. But this is not the way to go in terms of true dialogue and co-design of the principles and the process. So from my perspective and our Haas perspective, this is not a good fit.
So what are your next steps? You're now focusing on the national stage to try and override these WA laws?
Yeah, no, this is a very important point, Sue, because what we're saying is that we've had silence from the Prime Minister on these matters, and the Commonwealth does have constitutional powers to be able to advocate and support us, but he has also been silent on the matter. So one of the things is, you're correct, we will pursue the national process in terms of looking at how national laws are being co-designed in partnership with First Nations people to deliver heritage protection. So we will continue, but we know these fights are long fights and there's a process to unfold. We are waiting to see what the complaints mechanism with the UN will actually do in practice on the ground. But I think this is not business as usual, and we should not be going down this pathway.
And you've also called on miners to put a moratorium on further sacred site destruction.
Yes, what we're saying is that we're asking for a hold at the moment, because we still don't know in terms of the framework how we're going to fit into the dialogue and really advocate for the sacredness of our special places. So, it's trying to deal with this on the run, but there is a process of engagement. There are models of best practice in this nation that we should be upholding and ensuring our legislation fits for purpose within that. The Northern Territory model is there. There's other work being developed around the country by other Indigenous nations, and I think it, as I said earlier, this is a long fight and we are prepared for it and we are ready to go. But most importantly, we have our fellow Australians standing with us to say that this law is not fit for purpose. It should be removed. But it goes back to my point earlier that this is a failure of democracy. You saw how the debate was actioned in Parliament. There are a lot of people from both sides of the parties who are saying that we really need to have done this differently.